Hey, uh, hmm. Hey, so it's time for you to get estimates for your move. You've chosen a few movers, you made some calls, and you've got scheduled some appointments. You, as the homeowner or the movie or customer, you play a huge role in having an accurate, acquiring an accurate estimate is greatly, you can control that. First thing is you want to go through, wherever we're starting from, right? And I kind of going to go through this in my head as if I'm doing an estimate and talking to you and asking you, my customer. So first thing we come up and I'm looking at let's say it's a house, first thing I'm going to ask is, hey, are you packing or do you want us to pack? Or partial. A lot of times people will say, can you just pack the breakables or a china cabinet or the kitchen? Sure, that's fine. But I want to ask that question up front, right? So when I'm going through the house and the estimator's going through the house, I'm looking at all of the things that are going to go into boxes so I know how many boxes we're going to be charging for, right? And the second thing I always ask is going, not going. Show me what's going and also show me what's not going. And the things that aren't going, I then will ask you, do you have a place for them? Are they going, are you going to give them to somebody? Do you already have somebody who wants them? Do you have no idea? Do you want to try to, find a consignment shop if they're nice, or you just want them removed, right? You don't care what we do with them, just get them out. So we want to ask that up front, because what happens is anything not going, come move day, let's say you make arrangements and those arrangements fall through. Hey, my friend's going to pick up this bedroom set, and then another friend or whatever is going to pick up that bedroom set. Well, neither of that happens. On move day, we don't have enough time or space on the truck to take those 2 bedroom sets. Now we have a problem, right? So with your estimate, having an accurate estimate is one on pricing. What are you paying for and not paying for? What's included, not included? Also, an accurate walkthrough and having a survey and talking about the options, right? The variables, and then what can happen with each side of a variable. That is a great way to have a smooth move day. So an accurate estimate also plays a huge role in the move day itself, right? So packing, not packing, who's packing, and then also you can ask if it's a big home, your estimator should tell you, and then if they don't, you might want to ask, what are the expectations during packing, right? So do I pack everything, right? Am I expected to pack even the big art on the walls, the TVs? What do you expect me to do as a customer? And what are my expectations of you, the business, right? So be real clear. The more clarity you have, the better and more accurate the estimate's going to be, the better, smoother move day is going to be. Right? Packing, not packing, who's going, what am I packing, what am I responsible to pack? I will tell my customer, hey, if you have fragile things, this is how I want you to label the boxes, right? A lot of times, people write just on the top of the box, and then, we bring 5 boxes in on a hand truck, set them down, but I don't know which room it goes to, and you got to move every single box to get to what's written on top. And that adds a lot of time, right? So if you're doing hourly rate jobs or whatever, why did it run an extra hour long? Well, I had to do all these things that could have been adjusted and handled during the estimate. Ask a lot of questions, right? So I have people write on the side. I have them put tape on opposite corners of the box, right? That way, anywhere I come and I see, if it's got a piece of blue tape, I know it's fragile, right? Or whatever it is. So the writing's on the side, not just the top. Packing, not packing, what's going and not going. Now with the removals, look, if you have removals, right? So, we're not taking this bedroom set or this living room set. Let's say on move day, those things are still there and your moving company has not prepared for it. We might not have the time to take it in the day. We might be moving you into a place with an elevator, and that access time is going to get cut off because, we got an extra hour here of all the things we got to wrap them up and pack, right? It just added a bunch of time that we weren't prepared for. We can either charge you a bunch of money, whatever we want, right, to get them out, because guess what? Your closing is tonight. You did walk through. Customers coming through here at 2 o'clock to walk through. The house has to be empty, right? So that's leaving an opportunity for things to go wrong or things to get expensive, right? some of the things you want to point out and know: if you have glass tabletops, marble, things like that, does the company insure those? Do they have to be crated? Do they charge extra? So when you have, if you have glass or you have marble or fragile tops or anything that's fragile, ask the company. Ask the company. I'm just going to be real on this one. Ask them, hey, what happens if, right? What do you because a lot of times companies will charge extra to wrap something that's fragile, right? Because you were supposed to have done it. That's their expectation. Or if it breaks, you've already signed a waiver, right? So just clarity. You want to take, if you have, let's say, a garage, right? You want to walk out to the garage. As you're walking out to the garage, I always see the washer and dryer. I'll ask the customer, washer and dryer, because if it's a new one, because a lot of times they take your, you just bought the damn thing. You're going to need to unhook those yourself, right? I've had it happen to me. Is you're unscrewing the water lines and it was like old piping. Well, guess what? I moved it and now the plumbing starts leaking behind the wall. Who does the customer blame? The moving company. So most moving companies will say, oh, we won't touch them unless they're all taken, already disassembled. Same thing with refrigerators. That little water line, right? You got to find where it is to turn it off and do all that. We'll take the refrigerator, but I'm not going to disconnect the water lines, and I'm not going to reconnect the water lines either, because if something starts leaking, you blame it on the moving company. So we have verbiage that says, we're not responsible if we do it, such and so on and so forth. That's a question for you to ask your moving company, because if they didn't have, weren't expecting to take the washer and dryer, or they might disconnect it and charge you a $150 disconnection fee. You never know unless you ask up front. Okay. When you go into the attic, I'm always going to ask, go to the garage. I ask about the attic. Is there stuff in the attic? Are you expecting us to go up there and get it? If you live in a condo or an apartment, do you have a little storage area? Is there stuff in there? Right? I'm always asking. Your job before you have any estimates is to walk through and think of all these things. When you walk into a garage, my notes are on that screen. When I go through a garage and I see the garage shelving, I'll ask. If it's metal shelving, plastic shelving, are we taking the shelving? Your buyer of your house, or if you're renting, the owner, I need to know, what's the expectation. And if I don't know you want us to take all your shelving, and it's metal and it's large, we might run out of time, right? It takes up space. There's all these things. So make sure when you go to the garage, your estimator should be asking, what about this? What about that? What about this? Right? We've had it where people don't pack their garage up, so they've got all their shelves full with stuff and they totally forgot about it. Well, we get there and say, it's going to take us 2 hours to do this, right? It's either, if it's a flat rate, we have to adjust the price. If it's hourly rate, it's going to take longer, and maybe we don't have time to do it because at the destination, we're not going to make the shut-off time, okay? So all of these things play a role. An accurate estimate plays a huge role with, obviously, the cost, and an effective and a smooth move then, right? So when I'm coming up to your, where you live, I'm looking if it's a building. I've already asked security, where do we have to park? Am I parking out on the street? What are the walk times? Stuff like that. Guard gate, if you live in a community, is it a guard gate? Does it have to be an ID, driver's license, stuff like that to get in? What are cutoff times? Some communities say you can't be in before 8 o'clock and have to leave at 6 o'clock. No moving trucks, no contractors after 6. These are things you want to know. A lot of companies will forget to ask about the destination. So I'm telling you this now. Think about your destination and the same challenges of logistics, right? Houses that have like 3-4 steps, to get to the front door, man, that takes time, because you got our hand trucks and our things, ba-doom, ba-doom, ba-doom. And the houses that, you walk in and then you take 2 steps down, it's got a sunken living room, and all of those extra step up, steps down, step up, step downs. If we don't bring ramps or something, it adds a lot of time, right? So I've had it happen, we get to the destination and they didn't tell me it was like 10 steps up and, sunken this, and man, it took a lot of extra time. And we had to adjust the pricing accordingly. And if it's hourly rate, like, why did it take so much longer? Because we didn't know that this is what was at the destination, right? A couple of things that can happen with let's say you're moving in or out of a 3-story townhome. They have them here, and the stairs are really narrow. So what'll happen a lot of times, and we've had this happen, is people move out of, they're empty nesting. So big house, family, kids, all of that, big furniture, big armoire, bedroom furniture, big sofa, and they move into a condo, a building, east, right? So it's older construction, narrower, smaller, and we get there and things start not fitting, right? This big old armoire doesn't go into the hallway to get to the master, right? Things don't go in the stairs, or things don't go up the elevator. We have to try to use the stairs. All of this, all of these variables are kind of, the moving company should be asking you about your destination, right? Tell me about your destination as a house. And anytime somebody says it's a condo, I start asking questions. Townhome, asking questions. When I walk through and I see you have big furniture, I'm like, okay, is this going upstairs? Tell me about the destination again. Because every time I've had an issue, I add that to my questioning in the estimate, right? So if other companies have salespeople that aren't movers and haven't been movers, so they're not necessarily have been on jobs and had to, personally deal with all of these challenges. So it's not in the forefront of their mind to ask the questions, right? Because they haven't been a mover, or they weren't, a mover long enough to go through all these challenges. So you want for you to think as you're, walk through the destination, what can cause an issue, right? I have a customer that they're rehabbing their house right now, and we're not sure if the driveway is going to be done by the time we're going to be moving them in, because we have to have them out of the other house, right? Construction is taking longer. So, I'm going to be prepared to have multiple long ramps and plywood to be able to run, because it's still going to be dirt. Anyway, these are variables that having a very, detailed interview will basically solve the problem before it happens, right? Some other things to think about. Here's a big one. Simultaneous closes. So you're selling your house that you live in now, and in order to buy, right, your house, say this is where I live, I need to sell this house to get the funds to buy this house, right? And people will do it in the same day a lot, which is fine. But here's what happens. This house closes and sells, but then there's like a 2 or 3 hour delay for the funds and the bank and the stuff, and now it's 3 p.m. and we can't get in to, I've had communities here in my area, like at 5 o'clock, they shut it off. They won't let a moving truck in past 4:30, or they have to be off site by 6. And now we're sitting here with all of your stuff, 1, 2 trucks, 3 trucks before, and we can't actually unpack you, unload you. So having a simultaneous close, that's something you want to tell your estimator, or your salesperson. Hey, it's going to be a simultaneous close, because that brings a whole set of challenges, and it's going to it increases the price, because what you want, I do a simultaneous closes a certain way that alleviates the risk of, if something runs long, it costs everybody so much, a much bigger hassle than just allowing it, handling it up front and having it not be an issue. So for us, if you're doing a simultaneous close, I'll say, listen, we're going to be out of your house, if you have your closing set at 2, 3 o'clock, whatever it is, you let me know. It's actually better the earlier you can have your closing. So let's just say Thursday we get you totally out, maybe we'll leave a bed, and then Friday morning, Thursday you're basically all out of your house. Maybe you'll even go have a staycation one night somewhere. Friday morning you sell, the closing happens Friday. The home you're living in sells, and then Friday afternoon or whatever, you get your new home. Saturday we're there to move you in. So I try to let that simultaneous close day be on its own, right? Sometimes we'll be moving people out, and they'll have the first closing in the afternoon, and then the next closing in the morning, and then we're there at like 10, 11 o'clock to unload. So that's communication with your realtor, both realtors, your closing and title company, and us, right? So I'm always managing that process, because when it doesn't, if we're trying to get in and squeeze that window and it doesn't happen, it's brutal, because now you got you got a bunch of guys. I might not be available the next day. Like it causes huge issues if we didn't know about it, we didn't plan for it, and then it goes not smoothly, right? They always go smoothly for me now because I plan for them for the closing process to be delayed. I don't care if it gets delayed because I've already given space on both sides for that to happen. So it doesn't affect us and my customers anymore. We charge a few $100 just to let the truck sit for the night, for the day, and it's worth it. So the other part is simultaneous close overnight holds. So an overnight hold is, we're moving you out and whatever happened, we're going to move you out today, we'll move you in tomorrow. You want to ask your company how much do you charge for an overnight hold. Personally, we don't charge for overnight holds. It's just what it charges you, move you on move day 1 and move day 2. It's just basically 2 moves. I don't charge for it. What will happen though is if something goes wrong and day 1 is here, day 2 is there, and something happens on day 2 and we can't unload, now this truck is supposed to work tomorrow for somebody else, but now it can't. So what do we do then? Right? So then we either have to use another truck or go rent something. So there's where costs can be. You just want to make sure, ask about overnight holds. If you think you're going to have one, what happens if it runs longer, right? And if you think it's going to run longer, which it happens sometimes, we get the new house on Tuesday, we want to paint, it's going to be ready on Thursday. Well, it doesn't get ready until Monday, but your stuff is sitting on a truck. You want to be prepared for what could come. Okay? And then let's talk about